Hello adventurers, and welcome to my new series, and it's once again Skyrim. This video is actually not going to have any gameplay whatsoever. It's just an introduction video to the series. So let me say off the bat here, if you're not interested in watching this and you just want to get right down to the gameplay and to the beginning of the game, you can skip to the next video, which I will be uploading at the same time as this one, which will be the new Skyrim Let's Play Part 1. So this video is not mandatory, but I recommend watching it because the things I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be explaining what happened, why I'm making a new Skyrim series, what's different this time around, and there's a lot of differences this time around, so I recommend watching this video just for that even. And I'm also going to be talking about a couple of in-depth things that I've decided to do this time around that I hadn't really done, or that I had kind of mildly done in the last series and my other Elder Scrolls Let's Plays. So again, this video, there's no gameplay. I won't be creating the character. I won't be showing the intro. This is just me talking about the game. So if you're not interested, skip to the next video, but I highly recommend watching it, and I hope you do watch it because I think it'll be informative and it'll let you guys know why I'm doing the things I'm doing in the actual Let's Play when I do them. So I've actually took down here in my little notebook with my pencil the things I wanted to talk about here, and because it's quite a lot. I hope to go through them fairly quickly, but it's a lot of topics that I just couldn't expect to remember all the time. So why did I stop the other series? And in case you're wondering, the other Skyrim Let's Play is dead. It's not coming back. I'm sad about it, but I had an issue with one of the mods, and that mod was Real Wildlife. That was the mod that added more variety in the wildlife. It added the different kinds of wolves and the different kinds of spiders and bears and all that. It was a really cool mod and I love it, but I uninstalled it at one point because I was having an issue with something else, I think, or I was trying to install another mod to see if it was better than this one. So I uninstalled it, and at some point, and installed the other one, and at some point I must have saved over my last save. Anyway, the point was, when I reinstalled Real Wildlife, everything was kind of broken. So I didn't lose any, I didn't lose where I was in my character. If that had just happened, I would have probably kept going, like if I just missed an episode. But what happened was, all the animals, after I reinstalled Real Wildlife, were I looked up at the problem, and a lot of people refer to it as skating. They were just moving around the wildlife without actually moving anything. It was just like you would see like a horse, and it would just be like still and just moving. It was quite horrifying. I don't think I've ever seen anything that creeped me out quite that much, so I had to stop playing. I looked around the internet for a fix, and apparently there wasn't any fix other than going back to the save before that happened and keeping Real Wildlife installed, but at some point I must have destroyed that save because I don't have it. So the series is gone. Like, I'm not playing with those creepy animals, and if I uninstall Real Wildlife and keep it uninstalled, it was doing the same thing. I ran a lot of tests on it. I couldn't figure out a fix for it. So I'm very sorry to those of you who are enjoying the adventures of Tirthis the Bosmer, but he is no more in Skyrim. Maybe someday I'll start again with him, but not this time. I'm not going to be making the same character because I think that's a little boring on my side, you know, for me, the player, and probably a little boring for some of you guys, although maybe you'd like to see where I was going with him, but I'm not going to be remaking that same character. I'm not going to be playing in the same way. It's a totally brand new series. So again, I do apologize to those of you who are enjoying the series, because I was enjoying it too, but we're just going to have to make do without that particular series. And hopefully this new Skyrim Let's Play will be 10 times better, because I've got 10 times more content planned for this one. So that brings me to the mods this time around. I won't be going through every mod, just like in the last video that I did. I didn't go through every mod. I'm actually not going to be going through most of them because it's a lot. I actually added quite a few. A lot of the stuff is staying the same. I obviously removed real wildlife. That's no longer there. I'm not using any animal mods because I don't want to deal with that again, and apparently that's a common issue with animal mods, mods that change the spawning of animals and stuff like that. So I won't be dealing with any mods like that, but I still got, I think that's the only one I uninstalled. I think I still have all the other ones installed, but I actually installed quite a few more that weren't covered in my last video. They're all going to be in the description. And what I've got planned actually is, a lot of them are graphical, you know, I've already gone through that, like Lush Grass, Lush Trees, Floral Overhaul, all that stuff, 2K textures. So I'm not going to be even talking about that, but the ones that change the gameplay or alter it in any sort of significant way, I do want to talk about, but I decided to lay out Skyrim in this way. So the first episode, and I don't know because I haven't actually played it yet, but the first episode, you know, it's going to be Helgen, obviously. And if I get out of Helgen in one episode, then what I'm going to do is on the second episode, I'm going to make it a short episode, and I'm just going to be modifying mods and talking about mods. So that'll be another episode that you can skip if you're not interested in knowing what I'm doing. But I do recommend watching that one video as well, because it's going to be letting you know a lot of the settings that I'm going to be using in my mods, because some settings are pretty, some mods are pretty varied with the settings that you can have, so it's going to be an informative video. I mean, it'll be shorter than the average video. So I'm going to be talking about mods more in depth than that, so I'm not going to go through it too much here. I still got better vampires, Tales of Lycanthropy, all that stuff, all that good stuff. One mod that I do want to talk about here, because I sort of view it as the centerpiece to this new Let's Play, and it's without a doubt the biggest change between my last Let's Play and this one. This time around I'm going to be using, for the first time ever, I've never used it before, Skyrim Redone, or SkyRe, by T3 Endos, or Tendos, or whatever you call them, who's actually been very helpful. I asked him a lot of questions about that mod, and he was very quick to respond. Very helpful, because it's a, in case you don't know, it's a complete sort of overhaul to many things in the game. It pretty much completely redoes the perk trees. Every perk tree is now like way more intricate. There's a ton more perks, a ton more. The perk trees are huge. To compensate for that, because obviously in vanilla Skyrim the highest level possible was 81, which means you got 80 perks. This mod requires an Uncapper to be installed, and the Uncapper basically uncaps your max level. So the max level is no longer 81, but rather it can be whatever you want. But I'm using the settings recommended by Skyrim Redone. I don't know what the max level is, but I know it's really high, because you can have, instead of 100 on each skill, you can have up to 300 on those skills. So you can keep leveling and keep getting perks, and you can get a ton of perks, because you also, most of the time you get one perk per level, but every now and then, I think it's like every couple levels, you get an extra perk. So you get, like I think at level 5, you get 2 perks instead of 1, and then at level 6 you get 1 perk again, and then it keeps going with 1 until you get another checkpoint where you get level 2. It's kind of a complicated formula, but it sort of works like that. Every now and then you get more than 1 perk. It's an awesome mod. I've read through it in detail. I've read the description multiple times. I've never played with it before, but I have experimented a little bit in the game, because mostly I just want to make sure that everything's working with that mod and with all the other mods I have installed. I don't want a repeat of what happened with the other series. The last week I've spent just pretty much testing Skyrim. I haven't recorded any other games, unfortunately. Just testing Skyrim. One of the days I spent like 15 hours on the computer just testing it, installing the mods, seeing if they work, uninstalling them, seeing if it works, installing them again, seeing if it works at the second install, making backups, all sorts of things. The backups are going to serve me well, I think, in case something really does go wrong, horribly wrong. I hope that I will be able to salvage it, but as far as I can tell, this should be a pretty solid run. But again, I've only done a couple of test characters. You know, I didn't level anybody and actually play, so it was just testing. But hopefully it'll work out. So Skyrim Redone is sort of the centerpiece of this Let's Play. It's phenomenally detailed, and I'll be going more into detail about it. Probably in the mods video, I'll prepare a little speech about it because there's a lot of stuff to it. But just real quick, let me say that I've got every module that comes with it installed. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, make sure you check out the Skyrim Nexus and look at Skyrim Redone. It comes with a ton of modules. The perk tree is like the main, and the way the perks work and the spells and all that, that's the main sort of part of the mod. It does a lot of spells, it adds a lot of spells, and it takes away a lot of poor ones. So it sort of rebalances the game completely. And then there's a bunch of modules, like the combat module, which sort of overhauls the combat system quite a bit. Makes it far more challenging, actually. It basically makes it so that if you get hit and you're not blocking, you start bleeding, and depending on the weapon you got hit with, you bleed a certain amount. And the bleeding takes a huge toll on you. Let me tell you, if you're not blocking, you get hit with a two-handed weapon, you're in trouble. You can get staggered, you can fall on the ground, you can start bleeding. It's really intense. The good news is it also works on your enemies, so if you know how to time your attacks well when they're not blocking, you're going to be able to take them down. I'm also using the enemy AI mod, though, which makes them a little smarter, a little quicker to attack, and a little better at blocking, so we'll see how that goes. Basically, from what I could gather from my testing, which consisted of, unfortunately consisted of having to play through Helgen a couple times, the difficulty is insane, as far as I can tell, so I actually had to turn it down from Master. I'm down on Expert. And I hope I won't have to turn it down anymore. I will not be turning it back up to Master, but I will be keeping it on Expert as much as I can. But it's going to be more challenging, I hope. I want this to be as hardcore as possible, thus calling the series, you know, Hardcore Let's Play of Skyrim. What I don't mean by hardcore is I don't mean that if I die, I'll stop playing. Like, I'm not talking about permanent death. I'm not doing that, okay? I don't do that with most games because I think it's just a little too much, especially with a game like Skyrim where you can invest so much time into it and then just throw it away because of permadeath. I'm not doing that. But when I say hardcore, what I mean is playing at the highest difficulty possible within my current settings and making sure that I'm giving myself the adequate challenge and the most extreme challenge that I can. And that's going to come into play with some of the other mods I'm using, like Realistic Needs and Diseases, for having to eat, sleep, and drink.
A vast virus database has been updated.
Avast. So having to eat, sleep, and drink. Having to, I got another mod, a new one called Diseased, which looks really cool. It actually sort of redoes the diseases so that when you get diseased, you no longer know what it is. You just know that you're not feeling well, and you have to craft medicine for yourself and do research on books and stuff to figure out what disease you're actually coming down with. And the diseases have stages, much like they do with Realistic Needs and Diseases, but this one it's a little more intricate, and you can't just, like, if you drink a cure disease potion, it doesn't cure you, it just makes you feel a little better. So you kind of have to cure yourself through other means, like through taking care of yourself, rather than just drinking a potion and being cured like that, or going to a shrine. That no longer works either. So it adds a certain bit of challenge to the game, which I will appreciate, I think, and it actually works with Realistic Needs and Diseases, despite both of them altering diseases. So I'm using that. Besides Skyrim Redone, and arguably, even counting Skyrim Redone, the most exciting mod that I've installed, which was the one that I was really sad about not having in my last Let's Play, but it's finally out, and I can't wait to try it out, because all I've done is really test a few things on it. Frostfall. Frostfall 2.0 just came out, and I can't wait to play with it. It's amazing. The things, it's made by Chesco, and the things he's added from 1.6 to 2.0 is just mind-blowing. So many cool things. I've tested out the features. When he did the release candidate, I was trying my best to give him feedback on bugs that I found, stuff like that. What a phenomenal mod. Both of those guys, Tendos and Chesko, those guys are phenomenal. I hope that you guys will check out their mods, because really amazing stuff. And that goes for all the modders out there. From the mods I'm using, like, they're all really great, but these two just stand out in my mind. Particularly Frostfall, because that's the mod that, when I first played with Frostfall for the first time, that's the mod that kind of made me go, I'm never playing vanilla Skyrim again. That's the one. So I have a love for Frostfall that I can't even describe. So that's a big one that I'm excited to try. I've also got a couple new mods installed as well. Some of them graphical, some of them very minor. I'm trying to think of what else might be new. Again, I'll be going in much more detail about this in the mod video, because I feel like in Helgen, most of them will be turned off anyway, so it won't make a difference, but in the mod video, I'll be turning them on, which will be the second video, hopefully. I'll be turning them on, setting up the settings, and that way I can talk about them while I'm doing that, and you guys can see what the mod's going to require in terms of gameplay. Another big one that I've actually installed, now that I remember, is Deadly Dragons. That's one that I've had my eye on for a while, but I never tried it out. This is my first time trying it. I know that it adds a bunch of new dragons to the mix, but from what I can gather, because I've done some testing with it, it adds an assault timer, which means that every time, like, rather than just, you can still encounter the dragons randomly that the world spawns, just like you could before, but now you're on a timer, and you can modify it, but every given amount of hours, a dragon's going to pop up and assault. And you can modify the timer, and there's a randomizer to make it a little less predictable, and you can modify the types of assaults and stuff. It looks really cool. I like it because it's also going to come into play with Skyrim Redone, in the sense that I'll be able to trade some of those dragon souls for some new perks, because there's a ton of perks, and I'm going to need as many souls as I can get. Having said that, I'm also using a new Dragon Souls to Perks mod. I forget what it's called exactly, but I think it's by somebody called Ish. It's called like Ish's Souls to Perks mod, because the one I was using before, you had to pick the perk at the Dragonstone rather than it giving you a perk point, and that doesn't work with Skyrim Redone because it messes with the perks. So I couldn't keep using that mod, so I'm glad I found this one, which is, it just, like, you spend your souls and it gives you a perk point, and you can put it in wherever you want, you know? So it's another change. I should also say that I've never played with Skyrim Redone. I have seen it before and it's intrigued me, but I've never actually played with it, so I was aware of it before, but I just never realized how much it actually changes. It's a huge overhaul. Let me see, anything else? Frostfall, Deadly Dragons. I think I'm using a couple other new ones. But I guess that covers the really big ones. So if I'm going to go through my mod list and actually go into more detail with that in the mod video. So let's move on to the next point. I'm also going to be using, aside from the mods, I'm using an ENB. And for those of you interested, it's the Wilds. It's ENB the Wilds. It can be found on Nexus. I've never used an ENB before, but I gotta say it looks phenomenal. I personally like it. The brights are really bright and the darks are really dark. So if you thought my game was dark before, and I hope you did because I thought it was pitch black, this ENB actually makes it darker, if you can believe that. So the nights are going to be treacherous. So I'm really excited about playing with that, because I've never played with an ENB before, and from what I can tell, it just gives the game a life that it makes it just look so alive and vibrant. Having said that, though, the nights really are pitch black. So if I ever play, and I probably will play, I just don't know when, but when I play a vampire character and a werewolf character, since they're going to be wandering around at night for the most part, what I actually found is that their night vision is really not helpful at all with this ENB, because it's so dark that even the night vision doesn't do anything. So this is one of my sort of rules. I'm not allowed to turn the ENB off at any time to see better. Like if I'm in a cave or something, I'm not allowed to turn the ENB off to see better. The one exception to the rule is with werewolves and vampires when they're at night. When they turn on their night vision, I will be turning off the ENB just so I can see, because otherwise we won't get anywhere with them. But in other instances, I'm just going to have to make do with lanterns and torches and hope that I can make my way around. But when they use their night vision, I will be turning the ENB off for that portion. So I also wanted to mention, because I don't think I mentioned this in my previous videos for Skyrim, maybe I did, but I've actually done very little in Skyrim. I don't want to come off as somebody who's never played Skyrim, because I have played Skyrim. I have like 500 or 600 hours clocked in on Steam, but it feels like I've done almost nothing. I completed the main quest, so there's nothing new in the main quest, pretty much, that I haven't seen, I don't think. That's the only quest line I've ever completed. I've done like the beginner, like the first and second quests of most of the other factions, but I've never advanced in them. So most of the stuff that you're going to be seeing me doing, I really am doing it for the first time. I'm not just pretending. For the sake of role-playing, I will be role-playing through the main quest as if I hadn't seen it before, because it's my character who's actually going through it. So for the sake of role-playing, that one will be sort of, I'm kind of pretending that I haven't played it. But in all honesty, the other quests, I really haven't played them. I'm not just pretending like I haven't. I played a little bit of the companions. I know they're secret. I'm just going to say that in case anybody hasn't played them. I know that. That's as far as I ever got. I never finished the quest line. I played the first 2 quests of the Thieves Guild. Never did anything else. I didn't play the first quest, but I found the Dark Brotherhood. I remember finding them at one point. I actually don't remember where they are, but I remember at one point I went to the hideout or something. But I didn't actually do a quest for them. I did the like the first quest. I did joining the College of Winterhold. I never did any more quests than that. For the Civil War, I've joined the Imperial Legion with the first quest, where you just go talk to General Tullius at Solitude, and you join, and I think he sends you to do something. I've never done anything past that, I don't think. I can't remember anyway. I can't think of any other quest lines off the top of my head, but just to give you an idea, I really haven't done that much. It's just the main quest that it's going to be sort of spoiler-free for me, but the rest of it is really new to me, so keep that in mind, and try to keep any spoilers to yourselves, because I don't want to spoil anything for myself, or for other people watching it that maybe haven't done that either. So, a couple things I look forward to doing in this one. Definitely messing around with some of those mods. Skyrim Redone, I'm like, I can't wait to, just get back there and start playing with that mod, because it just looks amazing, phenomenal. The mods and just the possibilities that it opens in terms of crafting your character. I'm extremely excited about Frostfall, obviously. Frostfall in conjunction with realistic needs and diseases is going to work beautifully, because in Frostfall you can craft a fire and you can craft a cooking pot, and then I can cook myself some dinner while I'm out camped in the middle of nowhere at night, trying to stay warm, trying to make some soup. It's gonna be great. The other thing I'm really looking forward to is Dawn Guard. That's another quest line I've never done. The Dawn Guard. The only thing I've done with Dawn Guard is I know how to do the mounted combat. But no, wait, actually that was on an update. That wasn't from the expansion, but it was updated around the same time. Anyway, I know the Dawn Guard are vampire hunters, and I know that you can either join the vampire hunters or the vampires. But I've never actually played them. I don't know. I don't even know where the. I've heard the rumor before where it's like the Dawnguard have a fort in Riften. I don't know where that is though, other than the fact that it's in Riften. So it's gonna be fun playing the Dawnguard. I'm not sure what faction I want to play with them. If I want to join the Vampire Hunters or the Vampires. I'm also really looking forward to Hearthfire. I don't really know much about how it works, but I've seen like how you can craft stuff that looks house related, like locks and hinges and nails. I'm assuming those are Hearthfire items. I've never crafted a house, nor have I looked into it too much. I've only done a little bit of reading about it, and I read somewhere that there's 3 houses that you can have. There's one in Falkreath, Dawnstar, and somewhere else. It's not Winterhold. What's the other small town that you can't buy a house in the town? It's not Rorikstead. Morthal. That's the other one. So you can buy a house in any of those 3 locations, and when you buy a house, you can go make it, apparently. And what I've heard, what got me really excited, is that you can have a garden. I don't know how true that is, but apparently you can have a garden and plant stuff. I didn't look into it because I don't want to spoil too much about it. But if that's true, that's awesome, because I can't wait to do that. I don't know if you can have all 3 houses or just one of them. I would think you can have all 3, because that's the way the other houses in the cities are. You can buy as many as you want. I'm guessing you have to become Thane in the areas first, though. Like Thane of Falkreath can buy the house in Falkreath. So, we'll see. Hopefully, I think I'm going to be doing that pretty early on, in case you're wondering, because I'm just really excited to see how the whole gardening thing works. And if you can actually grow ingredients and plants, like if you can grow your own wheat, that would be pretty awesome, because you can use the wheat for potions and stuff like that. So I'm very excited about Hearthfire. And also, speaking about Dawnguard a little bit before, this brings me to a point. I want to leave some stuff up to the viewers, and the things I want to leave up to the viewers are, I want to be on this playthrough at some point, probably not anytime soon, but at some point in the playthrough, I want to become a vampire and I want to become a werewolf. What I want from you guys is, which one do you want to see first? Would you rather see me be a werewolf first and then get cured and become a vampire? Or would you rather me be a vampire first and then get cured and become a werewolf? And there's no guarantee that I'll stay as one forever, you know, but I do want to play as both. So just whichever one you want to see first, I'll take it into account. But again, keep in mind that won't happen anytime soon. I'm just looking into the future here. The other thing I want feedback on is the Civil War. Like I said, I've joined the Imperial Legion before, but I never actually did the quests for them. So I don't know what it entails. I don't know if in the end you kill Ulfric or something happens with the Thalmor. I really have no idea. So I'm leaving it up to you guys. Do you want me to join the Imperial Legion or the Stormcloaks? I'm going to leave that strictly up to you guys. You know, put it up to a vote. Whatever side gets more votes, that's what I'm going to be joining. And I'll center my story around that when I get to that point. Again, this stuff won't be happening anytime soon, but I'm just letting you guys know ahead of time. And the third one that I want feedback on for now is the Dawnguard. Do you want me to join the Vampire Hunters or the Vampires? So those are the 3 that I want feedback on. If I actually get feedback, I will be maybe asking for more feedback on future things. But for now, I figure those 3 are good just to get started. I hope some of you guys will give me feedback. I always love to hear from you guys. So if you've got a preference to any one of those, please let me know, because I really don't mind any of them. So, a few more things I want to talk about, and then we can get right to playing. This time around, I actually am enforcing a couple of rules to make the experiences more hardcore, in my opinion. I'm enforcing a couple of role-playing rules. And these rules, a lot of them come from the mods themselves and how I'll be setting up the mods. But some of them are just sort of Scouts Honor, you know, they're at They're at my discretion, and you guys will just have to trust me on it, that I'm actually doing it. So I've got a couple of them here, and I may modify these or add more rules as I go along. For the most part, I plan on not removing any of them. Like if I make any changes to these rules, it's either going to be making them harder or adding more. So I doubt I'm going to be like thinking that it's too hard and not doing them. So realistic needs and diseases, this is rule number 1. Obviously, because of the mod, the nature of the mod, I need to eat, drink, and sleep with my character. In the nature of diseased, that mod, because of the way it adds diseases and stuff, and that you have to learn about them and craft medicines, my character has to be very wary of disease because he has very limited medicinal knowledge. And I'll be going more into my character in just a minute. But he has very limited medicinal knowledge, so he has to be extra careful when it comes to disease, and that means if he catches something, he wants to cure it right away for now, until he learns more about medicine and acquires knowledge in such subjects. Another rule, I'm going to have to stay warm. It's Skyrim and it's cold, and that's thanks to Frostfall. I can't ever, under any circumstance, unless something goes wrong with a mod and I have to test something, and I do that off camera, I cannot fast travel, ever. That's Frostfall. That's a setting that I can actually turn off, and I will be doing so. Also from Frostfall, I cannot ever wait outdoors unless I'm in camp. So the only time I'm allowed to wait is when I'm indoors, like in an inn, or in a shop, which I wouldn't wait in a shop, but like if you're in an inn, obviously you can maybe go to sleep or something, or if you're in camp. Like if a good example of this is now in Frostfall you make camp, and there might be a storm, and maybe you don't want to travel in the storm because it's so dangerous because of Frostfall, and so what you can do is actually wait until the storm passes. So I will be in fact using that. But again, I have to be in camp. I can't just be out in the wild and wait for nighttime or wait for daytime. No, that's not happening. That's also a feature that I can turn off, so I can't even cheat even if I wanted to. A couple rules about vampires and werewolves. With better vampires, you can set up the mod in a very specific way. I'll be going more into that in the mod video. But one rule I just want to talk about now is my vampires are going to be completely vulnerable to sunlight. They will not be able to travel during the day. It will kill them instantly almost. They'll turn to ash, they'll be done. So there will be, if and when I become a vampire, there will be no sunlight gameplay. Tales of Lycanthropy is going to enhance my werewolf gameplay, so I'll be transforming into a werewolf, not at will. When I get the werewolf disease, when I get lycanthropy, I will never, under any circumstance, use beast form, the power, the spell, and I will never use the Ring of Hircine. Those are my rules. I can only transform when Tales of Lycanthropy allows it, which is at night. And I'll go into more detail about when the transformations actually occur in the mods video. But I will never use beast form, I will never use the Ring of Hircine. That's what you need to know about the werewolf. And the vampire will never travel during the day, or do anything other than sleep, probably during the day. Okay, I can't read my handwriting. Okay, so I will make a conscious effort to not always eat the same thing, because my character will get sick of eating the same thing over and over. Sometimes it's unavoidable if you're starving, or if you're completely out of food, you eat whatever you have, just like real life. But, I'm not going to always just be buying the most filling foods just because they're most filling. Rather, he's going to be looking for variety in his diet to stay healthy and to keep him interested in those foods. My character is also going to have, he's going to enjoy the occasional alcoholic beverage, so he might get drunk and tipsy from time to time in an inn, especially. Or after, a long bandit raid, he may go celebrate and get completely wasted. This is an interesting rule that I just came up with that I didn't do in my last video. When I'm going through the intro sequence in Helgen, I've done that sequence so many times that I'm just looking for things to change things up, for ways to change things up, and this time around when I play, I'm not going to be looting anything. I'm not going to pick up a single item in Helgen. No armor, no weapons, no potions, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not even the gold. Not even the sacks of gold. And I'll go more into that, why I'm doing that, when I talk about my character in a minute. The final two are, I think, a little interesting and pretty hardcore, I would think. I will no longer be using the in-game map. I found a mod that removes all the map markers from the map, so there's no player marker, no city marker, but the cities are named on there so you still get an idea. But there's no player marker, no quest markers, nothing, no markers at all. And I'm using that mod because the only time I'm allowed to use the in-game map is when I'm in like a big settlement that I know. Like if I'm in Whiterun, I can open up my game map and show you guys and be like, okay, we need to go north for the next quest or whatever. But when I'm on the road, I'm not using the game map anymore. And to remedy that, I've actually got a printout map that I'm going to be using for myself. And it doesn't have anything on it other than the main towns, you know, Whiterun, Dawnstar, Solitude. It's just got the main towns on it, and it's got the terrain and the roads. Nothing else. No caves, no bandit hideouts, no towers, no keeps, nothing. Nothing. Just the towns, the roads, and the mountains, basically. And I'm going to be using that paper map to navigate my way around, make sure I know where I am. And I've actually got a bigger map hung up on my wall here. I don't want to move this thing, otherwise I'd show you guys. But it's a bigger version of that same map that I'm going to be using. I'm using the little paper version. I've got a big sort of poster version that I printed out. And that's where I'm actually going to be marking stuff. So when I find something, like let's say I go out and I find a cave, and I think, wow, this is interesting. I know I'm east of Whiterun. I should mark this on my map. I'm going to be marking it on that big map. That way I remember that it's there. So I'm going to be, it's sort of like using quest markers, but it's manual. I will not be using the in-game quest markers. And the reason I don't want to use my map in-game is because even though it removes the quest markers, the way Skyrim works is when you press M, it sort of zooms out of where you are, so you still get an idea of where your character is, and I think that's cheap. So I can only use that when I'm in a big town. Otherwise I'll be using my paper maps, and I will be marking my big map. And the marking is at my discretion. I can mark whatever I want. If I see a cave, I can mark it. If I find a tree with a beehive on it, I can mark it. So I'm allowed to mark anything I want. I just can't use my in-game map. So, and my current, like I said, my current wall map has nothing marked on it other than the main towns. So I'm not like looking anything up, if that's if that makes sense. And the final rule is I will also not be using the in-game compass. It's turned off. I will not be using it at all. If I want to navigate and figure out what direction I'm going in, I just have to use the sun. And at night, I need to figure something out. I haven't figured out yet how the sky works at night. I know that it moves, so if I can figure out what direction it moves relative to the sun in the daytime, then I'll be able to discern what direction I'm moving in at night. But I haven't figured that quite out yet, and we're going to have to do a little nighttime navigation research in-game. But I will not be using the compass at all. That means no enemy markers. So if an enemy runs away, I have to track it on my own. I don't have the little red bleep showing me where it is. With dragons, that's pretty intense because the dragons fly around so much. No cardinal directions, no north, east, south. I have to figure that on my own. The only thing I'm keeping on basically is the enemy name and health bar because, well, just because it makes it easier to know who you're attacking. You know, is it really a bandit or did I accidentally attack somebody who's not a bandit that I don't actually want to kill? So I'm keeping that one on. And this brings me to the final point, my character sheet. I drew up a character sheet about my character with a little character biography and background. So this time around I will not be surprising you guys in the character creation screen. By the time you watch the first part of the Skyrim Let's Play, you'll already know what character I'll be playing if you watched this video. And that's because I just wanted to really plan out my character and have a real roleplay experience with him. And for that, I needed to figure out what he was going to be. So I've got a couple things I want to read to you here. His name is going to be Tristane. He's going to be a male. His race is going to be Breton. So he's going to be a Breton from High Rock. I haven't played Breton in a while. In fact, I haven't played any of like human races in a while. I've just been playing like elves and stuff like that. I debated making an orc, but I ended up settling for Breton just because I really liked... I wanted to try out some of the racial modifications that Skyrim Redone does, and the Breton one seemed really interesting, so I'm going with a Breton. He was born in North Point in High Rock, which is one of the northernmost cities, and that's where he's lived all his life. He doesn't really have a class. He doesn't have a specialty. He's not a combat person. He's a wealthy sort of young Breton who's always lived with his family. You know, he doesn't have any combat-related or adventuring-related skills. So I drew up a little bit of a character biography here. Tristane is a wealthy, young, charismatic Breton who enjoys sailing on his boat off the coast of North Point when the weather permits it. So he has a boat and he enjoys sailing. Like many young Bretons, he seeks to become a noble in the courts of North Point. In an attempt to prove his worth to the ruler, he has been sent by that ruler of North Point, by the ruler of North Point, on an errand to retrieve a priceless artifact from Cyrodiil. So this is why he's leaving North Point, because to become a noble, he has to do this errand, this favor for the current nobleman of North Point, to sort of prove himself. The piece had been paid for by the owner already, and is awaiting pickup by Tristane. So he doesn't have to. So it's not like he's going to a bandit cave to get it. It's just a fetch quest, basically. Is what I want to get through. A simple retrieval quest. Tristane, being not very strong or versed in combat arts, or self-reliant for that matter, whenever he's outside his boat or outside the town walls, has hired a bodyguard just in case. So he's hired a bodyguard to protect him in the during the journey and the artifact. Because even though the errand seems very simple, the artifact needs protection because it's very, what's the word? Well, it's priceless, as I said. So it definitely needs protection from bandits or highwaymen, stuff like that. The artifact was in Cheydinhal, so the fastest way to Cheydinhal was through Skyrim rather than Hammerfell, which is why he's traveling through Skyrim at this point. His only real skills are charisma. He's a very charismatic young man. His navigational skills on his boat, and his scholarly skills, such as writing and reading, deciphering old text, stuff like that. So nothing combat related. He's never picked up a sword in his life, never picked up a bow. He doesn't know how to wield those things. His father always wanted to teach him fencing and magic, but Tristane had no interest in either. That may all change, though, with the turn of events that's going to happen when he's in Skyrim. So I'll be going more into that in the next video, and we'll be getting more deeply into this character and into the mods in the next few videos, so I hope you'll join me, and I hope you're excited for this playthrough. I know I am. For those of you who watched this video, I appreciate it, because I actually put a lot of work into figuring out how I wanted to play it and what rules I wanted to do and all this stuff, so I appreciate you watching it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it seems like something that's going to be fun to watch as a Skyrim experience. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next video, where we'll be starting our character here in this Skyrim Redone world. And I will see you guys then. Thanks for watching.